The President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, is due in Australia next week. He's coming primarily to support the Australian Jewish community after the tragedy and trauma of the Bondi massacre. It's a mission of solidarity and care in response to a horrific act of terror that killed 15 innocent people, including a Holocaust survivor and a 10-year-old girl. And it seriously wounded dozens more, of course. Yet even with that at the core of the visit, true to their hateful form, the usual pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel activists are planning to stage protests around the country on Sunday. Their flyers say that Herzog is not welcome here. They persist with the absurd and obscene charge of genocide against Israel, and they urge people to protest in the streets against the president. Now, Herzog is a former politician, a former Labor politician, who's been a critic of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the past. He's not the executive leader like the US president, for instance. His role is more akin to being the head of state, such as the king or his representative here, the Governor General. I met Herzog in Israel last year. He was concerned then about anti-Semitism in Australia and the Australian government's criticisms of Israel as well. And he publicly invited Anthony Albanese to visit Israel. Albanese never went, but now, in tragic circumstances, Herzog will be here. He arrives on Sunday. And New South Wales police are worried about what the protesters will do, even though they'll be banned from certain areas.
I know that there is significant animosity about President Herzog's visit. I have to balance that. What I fear is a large-scale public assembly with so much animosity could present a risk to community safety.
The pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protests have fostered division in this country for more than 2 years now.
Where's the Jews? Where's the Jews? Where's the Jews? Where's the Jews?
The endless protests have seen many pushing falsehoods and hate, chanting slogans that encourage violence against Israel and Jews, which in my view helped to create the environment that led to a rise in anti-Semitism and the horrors of the Bondi slaughter. Nonetheless, no matter how wrong their views are or how damaging and divisive, of course they have a right to express them, unless they openly incite violence or anti-Semitism, of course. If they do that, they should be arrested and charged, something our authorities strangely have been unwilling to do over the past couple of years. But here's the point. Herzog is in Sydney to show solidarity and support for the local community still grieving its losses and still living in fear. If the pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel crowd has any shred of human decency, if they want to show that they care for humanity rather than merely push hatred, then they should hold off on their protests in Sydney. They should find something else to do while President Herzog is in Sydney meeting with the Jewish communities. I mean, if protesting is their thing, have a whinge about something else on Sunday. Make some noise about climate change or capitalism or something. But just show some respect for the victims of terror. Let them meet Israel's president in peace. Save your protests for Wednesday in Canberra, when Herzog will be meeting Albanese. That's the day when there's politics involved. Make your noise and chant your lies on that day. I hope Herzog will tell Albanese how wrong he is on Israel, how wrong he was to recognise the non-existent state of Palestine when its terrorist leaders still attack Israel and work against peace. And I hope the President tells Albanese he needs to do more to stamp out Islamist extremism and anti-Semitism in this country too. While Labor has been terrible on Israel and the protesters are shocking and hateful, I'm certain most Australians welcome the visit by Israel's president. Our police and other authorities need to make sure they manage it with firmness and efficiency.